What if the moment you met God wasn't in a church or a book, but at the threshold of life? With one choice, stay or go. Today, I sit down with Eden Koz, a truth teller whose near-death experience unlocked radical discernment and a way to live free in the matrix with a 5D heart. This conversation is your activation. More about Eden Koz. In this episode on Intuitive Mind Lab Radio, in episode 12, Eden is a psychological empath and multidimensional facilitator whose near-death experience rewired how she understands God, truth, and the deep work of healing. Today, we're exploring NDE's near-death experiences, real-world discernment in a so-called matrix, spiritual narcissism versus embodiment, and how to live as a 5D being in a 3D world. This is Intuitive Mind Lab Radio, where we ditch the spiritual fluff, fuse science with the unseen, and make awakening something you can actually use. I'm your host, Lindsay Goodwin, energy alchemist and consciousness facilitator. And in season 1, we're diving straight into the real deal. We're talking mastering your emotions, unlocking your intuition, and rewiring your nervous system. We're decoding the mysteries of the universe, calling out deceptive frequencies, and even pulling back the curtain on the energetic side of AI during this massive awakening. You'll get raw conversations, a whole lot of truth, and tools that actually work, and stories that blow open what you thought was possible. No more tiptoeing, no more playing it small, just the activation you've been searching for. Season 1 is your permission slip to go all in, turn it up, break the rules, and start living like you mean it. The lab doors are open. Let's get to work. I am so excited for my guest today. I have Eden Koz, and she is absolutely wonderful. And I just can't wait to share everything about her, for her to share with you her story and what she does and how much she is just changing this planet and consciousness. And Eden is a psychological empath, and I'm excited for her to tell you exactly what that is. She will explain it very well. I understand it, but I want you to be able to hear it straight from her. So welcome, Eden.
Thank you. Hey, thank you for that awesome introduction too. That touched my heart. I love it.
Yes, absolutely. So tell us more about what you do.
Okay, well, I use many modalities, so Reiki master, also medium, psychic, like and all of the things. Yet probably my main gig, if you want to call it that, is psychological being an empath. So I it's really hard to describe, and I come from an advertising background just like you. So, words, oh, how do I describe this? And there have never been words that really make it work, but it's like therapy on drugs, but I'm not a classic Western therapist at all. So I have my clients I see remote and face to face. When you come to me and start talking, I immediately feel where things are stuck in your body. I hear things. So it's like we talk about them, then I work with you energetically in terms of figuring out where those blocks are, what points are. And then sometimes, say your dead mother comes in to the periphery as well, because maybe there's healing involved in that. So it is like, if you do this kind of work with me, it is soul work. It is not just, oh, I'm going to make you feel better and you're going to get rid of these traumas and everything. You are going to figure out who you are, what the truth of you is. I mean, it is deep, deep stuff. How did I do with explaining that, Lindsay? Because I explain it sometimes. I'm like, oh, I think I left something out. Or does that make sense?
It absolutely does. And I love how we can use different terminology for things. I see a lot of that as what I call medical intuition. So really tuning in and being able to understand. There's a lot of different ways to connect with the energy of the universe, right? And the higher consciousness, which is what all of us are, the awakened energy. But you're getting auditory messages. You're also clairvoyant. You're an empath. And so absolutely it's wonderful and it can be hard to explain. I
Yes.
totally hear you. Like that's what I've realized, and we were kind of talking this before we got on the show today, is that it can be challenging at times with these identities,
Yeah.
like you want to stay away from the identity. It's just like your podcast, just be, like just be. You don't necessarily need an identity, but that's wonderful. It's so amazing. And I know that you have quite a story of how you got into this work and how you're able to really be able to understand what your clients are going through, as well as listeners on your show and also this show. And so I would love to hear more about how you got into this work and how you kind of were like turned inside out, is how I call it, to really be able to understand these deeper layers of people that don't quite get it yet, but they're here. They
Okay.
need you. Yeah.
Oh, thanks. Okay. And to add to that, and you can probably relate to this, the past couple years with this awakening that we both are a part of and feel intuitively, my abilities have strengthened. So I could tap into these are it's not my specialty, yet it comes when it needs to be. So past lives, parallel lives, dimensional lives, I can tap into the quantum, which is all about the quantum anyway, light language, just whatever needs to be at a person's sessions, because every person is unique. Even if they have a label that they're an addict or they're bipolar, I don't come at it the same way because they are individual as well. And their story is different. Their energy is different. Everything is unique. And that's what I love about it too. I don't just pull out a book and go, oh, you have this diagnosis. So let's see what that means and what that. No, you're you. Let's dive in. So, and I love to get to know people personally, which is great. Okay.
Yeah.
So, Lindsay, I grew up in the deep South. I have to start with this story as well. So, my dad, so Statesboro, Georgia, if anybody knows that, my dad was going to be a Catholic priest, decided not to do that. My mom was Lutheran, yet we didn't go to church. Okay, and down south, if you do not go to church, you are a heathen, essentially. Because I'd go to school on Monday, and everybody be like, "What'd you do at church this weekend, Eden? How'd everything go?" So I really attempted on my own to find God, and it didn't quite work. So I rode my bike to this church group and thought, I was a scrawny Southern little girl, like 9 years old, that they would love me and take me in. It was very cliquey. I was put in a corner essentially. And then I started reading the Bible, and I was like, I thought God was supposed to love everybody, yet women are being called whores. And like, I felt like I was too young to be reading this. And then God killing all these people for sinning and not in judgment. And I abandoned it. I was like, okay, this isn't for me. This isn't what I'm supposed to click with. And I had desperately wanted so badly just to be born into faith. Okay. Now I see why that wasn't the case and why it was so beautiful. So I was in creative and advertising in my 20s, and just my life had started being off balance. Like I was working too much. I was very much a type A, work, 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 work. So I went out to dinner with two of my friends. This is in my very late 20s. I don't know if I've already said that or not. And they had been taking this class with my soon to be teacher, and she was a meditation teacher, which was like, okay, meditation, whatever. Yet it was the way they talked about her and how good and how much they loved it. And a part of me was like, people in our 20s, we don't talk this way. So let me check her out. 6 years later, in being with her, I didn't realize in being with her, I was being trained to do this work as well. It opened me up to God. I had always been intuitive, but didn't quite realize it. There was a spirit in my hall when I was younger, and I didn't realize that's what it was. I was just scared for 2 years, like deathly scared. And then when I started doing this work, I saw that it was a man in my hall that kept pacing, and that's what it was. And that's why I was so scared, but I didn't know what it was. And God had to come hit me over the head because I tried so hard to connect. So for me, it had to be real. And there were certain situations that I just, in the beginning, felt things so clearer than I'd ever felt before, that it was so undeniable. and then being able to start doing this work. And so I had a friend who was interested. So I went to the beginner classes with her, and my then mentor would pull me up and have me demonstrate and show things. So after being with her for like 6 years, I was in Atlanta, Georgia at the time, and we were going to move to Alabama. She goes, Eden, you need to start doing this work. And it was perfect because advertising was my life. It was my getting back to identities. And suddenly I was like, I just felt when she said that, I'm like, yes. So it wasn't like I had official training in how to do this, but I did have official training. And when she said that, I was like, let's go. There was nothing in me that had reservations. And of course, going to Alabama was an interesting place to start. We were only there for a year and a half, yet it was like I knew exactly what to do. And from that process, I'm in Ohio now. It just gradually opened me up to more and more and more. And then I remember my teacher, mentor from Atlanta, when I was in Ohio, she said, do you have someone who's helping you yet? And at that time, I was like, no, I'm good. I know what I'm doing. But I do have a mentor here. She's been here. She's been by my side for about 14 years. And I express that to people when you're looking for a spiritual person to help you. Like, I think them having a person is wonderful. So I always put that out there, because for me to continue to grow, I mean, I do not stop doing this. If it's with her, by myself, I am in this. So if you come to me and you are in it, I'm there with you as well. Okay. So there you go. Any questions on that?
Yeah, I absolutely love it. And I just have to respond to a few things that you said. Thank you so much for sharing that. First of all, I mean, we found in the little time that we've known each other, Eden, that we've had so much connection. I would feel so sick every time I went into a church, and I didn't know why. And now I know why, because it's not real. It's not what really is. It's based off of illusions. I met a new age Satanist the other day, and I was chuckling inside, because that's all created by the illusion. This is all states of consciousness. And that is too. If you choose that vibration, then you choose that frequency. And of course, frequency and vibration are two different. Oh, no, I would say there's a frequency and dimensions are different. But if you choose that, then that is the dimension that you will experience. So it's giving your power away. And I feel that that is a lot of what religion is giving your power away and thinking that it's external. I had a very, very crazy awakening dream with God, or source energy, whatever feels comfortable for people, or universe. And I just kept hearing the kingdom of God, or the kingdom of God, or the kingdom of heaven is within you. It's within you. It's within you. And people that have had near-death experiences, which I want to talk about that in a second with you, Eden, because you've had a really awakening experience, that people will talk about that when you meet God, that it's not what people explain. It's not a man in the sky. God is you and everything else. And so it's very interesting that as a child, you wanted so bad to fit into it because you knew what was real, but yet this 3D reality wasn't, it's all illusions. So you had the drive, you had the passion, and now you have actually found it, and you've come back to who you were as a little child, and now it's in a different, it's who you've always been, is essentially what I'm saying. So, and I have a question for you about your spiritual teacher that you had met when you first started to wake up. Were you resistant to what she was showing you, or?
No.
Okay.
I was so ready. So you had to take a weekend class to make sure that you kind of gelled with her work. And I remember that weekend, I was like, oh, like I already started feeling energy coming out of my hands, like right off the bat. So I was like, what is this? Let's go. I mean, I just, again, you can look at it and go, oh, I was so lucky to meet her. And no, it wasn't luck. And she was also coming from down south, because doing like down south at the time period, this was just, what are you doing? What's going, meditation? She was a PhD which she left her, she's a psychological empath too. So she and I aligned within that. And she left her clinical Western practice because she also realized that people couldn't heal. They could see maybe what their trauma was and talk about it, but they couldn't move past it. So she moved into this work. And that's who I got to study with. This really, as seen by outsiders, a very viable person, not some woohoo person in a, in a white outfit or whatever. She was very, very corporate, I guess, could talk the talk. So yeah, I look at that and I'm like, a part of me is not astounded by it, but I'm like, I'm not, it's Lindsay, I'm sure it's hard to talk this. It was like such a path, a beautiful path. And I thank God for bringing me to her and to my person I have now. They are just wonderful women, wonderful, compassionate, open women. And I have to tell you this, Lindsay, I talked to my initial teacher probably about 2 years ago. I was so excited to talk to her, especially with the Great Awakening, everything that was going on. She asked me if I was an anti-vaxxer, totally didn't know what was going on. I was shocked. I was so shocked because I figured she would be on the same on the same table, everything. So my mentor now basically said, you've moved on from her, and not judging her or whatever, but it was astounding to me. Astounding.
Yeah. And it's interesting too that we don't see those things when we're not ready to see them.
Right.
But then once they're there, it's that's why I call it turning it inside out. It's like you're completely on the outside of it now and you see it from a totally different perspective. And it's not a place of judgment. In fact, we as, 5D consciousness, judgment is not part of it. It's just in its awareness that this just doesn't resonate anymore. I wish you all the best in your journey. I've already moved on. And it can be hard for, I think, a lot of people to realize that because they feel guilty. Again, we're going into the lower chakras of the trauma and not doing that shadow work, because when you've done that shadow work, you can easily let go because you just know things are just time. It's okay. Just let it go. So yes, it is interesting. And you talking about anti-vaxxer, and I know we're going to talk about COVID today. Because I'm also not vaccinated. And it was really hard when COVID was going on, and I was getting a lot of downloads from the extraterrestrial beings, as some people call them aliens. I don't prefer to call them that. And I was also working in healthcare as an acupuncturist and working with pregnant women, and it was really hard wearing that mask and no one being able to see my mouth because the reactions, I wouldn't have been able to hide it. The things that some of these people were saying to me that were very mean about people that were not vaccinated. And it's okay. I mean, I understand where people are coming from, but I also was receiving guidance not to get vaccinated, and you were as well. And so we're not vaccinated. So anyone that's listening to this, and of course, Eden has a whole group of people that she speaks to. If you're not vaccinated, listeners, know that you're not alone. It's okay to speak about it. So why don't you tell us about why you chose not to get vaccinated?
Well, I was spiritually awake. Then COVID, beautiful COVID, hit in 2020. And that's when I became awake to the matrix, to the falsities, to the truth. I talk about my mentor again. I had, oh gosh, it's such a pivotal time, Lindsay. 3 weeks before the lockdowns had also asked my husband for a divorce. So as this should be, the Great Awakening is moving away also energetically from anything that doesn't serve you. So not only did COVID happen, the divorce happened, me awakening to the matrix, to the world, all happened in one fell swoop. And I remember my mentor basically said, COVID is not COVID. It's not what it seems to be. And I think the day after she told me that, she didn't give me any other knowledge on that. A friend of mine texted me Out of the Shadows, the document. I don't know if you're familiar with that one, but it's about a gentleman who was a stunt performer in Hollywood, and he started realizing that things weren't up to snuff. It's really, really fantastic. So the Satanism in Hollywood, and just really, really good. So I think the next week, someone sent me Fall of the Cabal, and that she was coming out with multiple. I think every time there was a new episode that would come out, I think now they're like 20 or 25, but it started the deep dive into fake news and vaccines and gates, and then within that, once you start going down that rabbit hole, everything starts coming. So it's been years now of, and we talked about off the show, that it just doesn't stop. The programming that we've all received, that there's some things that you don't consider, and then someone suggests something to you and you're like, oh my, I never even thought about that not being true. And then there's this, and then there's this. It's this ongoing self-discovery and just the truths of, the galaxy, and how we're all part of the galaxy. If you want to talk about the Arcturians and the Palladians, like opening that up into this, we are not alone in the Galactic Federation. And, potentially Eisenhower working with the Greys, and how it's all integrated, and reptilians, and like, it's friggin' mind blowing, wonderful stuff. And at the end of all of it is this discovery of us being these powerful beings, that we have been kept from that knowledge of ourselves. And you and I, in doing this work, are on what I consider the preface of that, or the forefront of that. And I don't know about you, Lindsay, but the past couple months, feeling so good and so blissful and peaceful. So I had a session with a woman the other day, and she was like, she's known about the Great Awakening since 2009, and she's like, when is it going to start to happen? And I'm like, well, it doesn't happen out there. It happens in you. And I can tell you right now, it's happening. I mean, I am feeling more powerful, more content, more happy. Relationships, just my work, it's just, so I sit there and go, what's the next month going to be like? What's the next year going to be like? So I also, in terms of people waking up and looking at some of the stuff that is just, a lot of it's really hard, and children and adrenochrome, and like, when you get really deep into some of that stuff, yet knowing all of this is a spiritual journey for all of us, no matter how you're affected by it, that I believe at the end of it, which there really isn't an end, but we are right now, there is heaven and hell on earth, and we are moving towards heaven. Okay. And if you want to go there, if you want to be that, it is so tangible right now. Yet you have to, I feel, look at all the crap too. And then you personally make a decision. Where are you going to go? Who are you going to be? What do you believe in? What do you really believe in? And I believe in the goodness of humanity, the goodness of the galaxy, the goodness of God. And that's what I'm here to, the frequency that I'm supposed to be. I mean, my work, great, really, that it matters, but it doesn't. What really matters is me being here and being, I don't know, just good and content, and just like being here with you, just being like, oh my God, this is so great, Lindsay, thank you. And then as soon as we're done, like cooking dinner and just like everything, and going out in nature, and it is heaven here, and it can be, and it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Woo, that was a tirade of,
that was a channel
words. That was, woo, it's good.
You were channeling those galactic beings. They were coming in, they're helping you out. Wait, she's on there. She's got that mic. She's got that mic. We need to get in there.
I loved it. Thank you for letting me talk about that. I went from one direction to boom, out into me more.
I love it. Yeah, it's crazy times that we're living in. I think that it can be hard to explain to people that haven't quite experienced it, but that's why we're here, is to try to open that up, but yeah, I've just felt so compelled to talk about this recently. about how many people are still living in the trauma and how they can't
Yeah.
experience those higher states of awareness because they're still living in, I talk in chakras, excuse me, still living in those lower states. And you can't experience these higher states of just being and enjoying the moment and enjoying the nature and how it's its own frequency and everything's frequency and heaven is within you. It's not outside of you. You can't experience any of that if you're still working from a 3D consciousness and
Mhm.
even 4D too. 4D is kind of like, I see it as kind of like it's the in-between sort of state.
Yeah.
But to really be in that 5D consciousness, which is exactly what you're explaining, you have to do the work. You have to
Yeah.
do the shadow. I can't even talk today. You have to do the shadow work. You have to
Yeah.
own your bullshit, and that can be really hard for people. I know that I
Yeah.
had to go through several spiritual awakenings to finally be like, okay, Lindsay, you gotta own it. If you want to be up there, you got to own this. And I'm still working through stuff. I mean, you and I
Mhm.
talked about that, and I think you've said it on the show today. I'm okay with saying that I still have stuff that I'm working on. I'm
Yeah.
human too.
Mhm.
Let's talk about what I've been through. Let's talk about it. We're all good. It's all good. We're having a human experience.
We are. We are. And this is a human ascension too. So again, it's not going outside of yourself, it's going inside of yourself and being here. Because I have some people now that I'm connected with through this great awakening. And they're also like, I'm tired of these earthly and politics. And yet
Mhm.
it's interesting to me to go, okay, it's still, you still need to be in it. You don't have to be of it. But if we go to war with someone, if prices go up, you are affected by that because you're a human being.
Mhm.
So to be with the galactic parts of it, to be with the energy parts, to be with the spiritual parts is great, but the human parts are also spiritual. So,
Mhm.
and that's hard for people too. Like, I just want to not talk about that anymore. I want to move past it. Well, in this paradigm, you kind of can't separate
Mhm.
yourself on a certain level.
Mhm.
Yet the more peaceful you are with everything and the less diverted you are and the less, oh my God, this is happening, not moving into fear, but moving into love. That's also part of this too. Again, what do you choose, fear or love? And if you choose love, oh my gosh, so good.
Mm-hmm.
So good.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that you brought up the matrix because I often hear in the spiritual community that people will talk about that escaping the matrix. You don't escape the matrix. It's living in the matrix as an awakened 5D consciousness being. You don't escape it. You don't want to escape it. You're in a 3D reality. You're in a 3D body. And so I might confuse people when I say 3D reality and 3D consciousness. They're two different things. You're in a 3D reality and that you're in a body, that you have a microphone. I have a microphone. Everything has cells and atoms in it. It's creating 3D, okay? But you're a 5D awakened being. So you're in the matrix as an awakened being. You're not in it and entangled in it. You're aware of it. And
Yeah.
so, yes, there's a lot of language out there too. And I won't get
Yeah.
started talking about the fakes, but there are an awful lot of people that talk about things that they don't know what they're talking about. It's regurgitated information that they're getting from someone else and they're memorizing it. They're not actually embodying it and living it.
I remember one podcast that I listened to that basically said right now, if they have a name, they're in the game, which I thought that was
Mm.
really pivotal because there are a lot of, like you said, spiritual people. I've even had some on my podcast that, and I tell people every time, be discerning of who's here. Like I've had people on now and I'm like, oh, that wasn't such a great person to
Mhm.
have on. Yet I'm also like, you know what? I'm also about truth. I'm not going to keep you from people because, and I grow every week as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, just to be really discerning. And within that, I feel like I'm very discerning, but I'm not always accurate because it's very tricky right now. It's very, figuring out who to trust. Oh, Lindsay, can I say one other thing? This is totally unrelated,
Yes,
but it
yes,
is
say
related.
it.
So I through all of this, I believe that like financially, like gold and silver is great. So I
Yeah.
probably 3 years ago, converted my IRAs to a gold IRA. Okay. And I felt in my heart so good. And I was so excited to do this because my former husband would have been like, "What are you doing?" So I felt freedom with that, felt really good. I had someone on my show 2 months ago. He's a privacy expert. And at the end, he talked about the gold IRA scams.
Mhm.
So when we got off the show, I was like, his name is Glenn. I'm like, "Glenn, let me tell you that I did that. How can I find out if, because apparently it's a good thing to do, yet you really need to be cautious about who you go with." So
Right.
he connected me with someone who can help that. And turns out two of the firms that I used are not that great. Okay. And I'm in the process of getting that corrected, and everything is, turns out it's good. It could be much better. Yet I also look at that and go, I was scammed. How can I be scammed when I know so much that's going on? Yet again, not to toot my own horn and say I'm better than anybody else. Yet, but just to show the deception that's out there. And both of these companies have patriots, spokespeople that you would be like, "Oh yeah, I know that person. I trust that person." So just to be majorly discerning. Lindsay, how? Let me ask you a question. How
Yeah.
would you recommend that someone be discerning? Because my thing is like going to the heart now, and knowing that my heart is getting stronger and stronger every day, and I can really start to rely much more on it. What would you suggest with that?
Well, I think that there's always messages that you're receiving, and it's whether or not you're going to tune into that.
Okay.
So we can sometimes dismiss those. And I feel that if you're
Yes.
unsure of something, go sit with it for a while. Sit with it, and actually, you'll start getting messages, whether they be dreams or empath, through your body, or you're getting auditory. I mean, there could be lots of different ways that you're getting messages. You will get an answer. And it's whether or not you're listening, though. I think that that's the biggest thing. And yes, I love that you said I'm not perfect, and that you weren't hard on yourself, that how could I make a decision like this because I seem to know these things. But I think what the universe is trying to show you is that you're still human.
That too. And then I also put out there for listeners as well that everything always works out for me. So
Yeah.
not only did I have someone come on a show, but I have one of the key people in helping people get get
Mm.
get this fixed, who's helping me.
Yeah.
And everything is turning out wonderfully. And then it's just like I wasn't hurt by it. I mean, I was in a way, but not really. Again, if I choose to be hurt by it, then I am. But if I choose to look at it like, "Oh,
Mhm.
look at this adventure that I'm on," and I have someone who's really there to help me, it's turned out to be wonderful.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's amazing. And I have a question for you,
Yeah.
Eden. Did this happen? Did you have Glenn on your show before this happened or after this happened?
So Glenn was on the show. He brought my awareness to it, connected me to someone else who is then helping me get
Mm.
free, go to another company and get all of this free. So does that make sense? Did I
Yes, yes, I love
chronologically?
that. So we're seeing the trajectory here, not thinking
Yeah.
linear by any means, but you
Yes.
asked to have a solution on this, and you ask, you shall receive.
Hmm.
And that's how you met Glenn, because he came
Yeah.
in, he was a solution for you and put you on a different path. So you're so smart, Eden. Look at that. You're so smart.
There you go. Thank you so much. And for my podcast, I've been doing it like 3.5 years, and every week the same thing. I'm like, do I keep on doing it? And every week I keep hearing yes, because like I get to meet beautiful people like you and like Glenn, and just conveying, knowledge. And it's just like I still keep going to it. Are you having fun doing it? Yeah. Does it take some work? Sure, it does. Yet it's beautiful. I really enjoy it.
Right. I love that. Well, leading into that,
Yeah.
what would you say that what drives you to keep your podcast going? What sort of message are you here to create for the collective?
Well, I was in a constitutional type group, and was getting my voice spoken in that and talking about freedom. And then there was a big narcissistic battle which occurred. And I remember looking at
Mm.
it going, this is what the Great Awakening is the truth and exposure of narcissism. And then I don't know how it came to be, but I'm like, you know what? I can have my own show. I didn't know anything about podcasting. I didn't know
Right.
about microphones. I didn't know, but it is nice having an advertising type background because you do know how to put things together and your own music and all that sort of stuff. So I was like, okay, this is what I'll do. No one can tell me no. No one's going to be able to control my voice. I'm going to be able to say exactly what I want to say. I'm going to be able to dictate how it goes. So I started, and it was just me for the first 30 some odd episodes. Like I would have some of my clients on as well. And there was one point where I was like, you know what? I'm tired of talking about what's going on in the world and conveying some of this, kind of dark stuff that's going on. It isn't fun. So I
Right.
started having guests on, and every week just finding people and people coming to me and just meeting incredible people. And it's just been, it's still funny to say to you, it's been 3.5 years because I'm like, oh my God, yes, that's how long it's been. And I
That-
it just keeps feeling good. So I'm going to keep going.
That's amazing. Amazing. So 3.5 years you've had your podcast?
Yeah, since January 2022,
Wow.
weekly.
So do you feel that narcissism was what pushed you in the direction of being a truth speaker,
That's a
a
good
truth
point.
seeker?
I would say, yeah. And just like it's hard when it's like the truth just wants to come out of my body. I can't stop it. It's like also having this format just to talk and just to be unstoppable. Even if like I think YouTube had shadow banned me a little bit. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Then another route came to me that, hey, we're going to put your show here instead. I mean, it's just I think too, I just can't stop talking.
Right. Yeah, I know. I share the same. I totally understand. So narcissism, it's something that I often talk about because I
Yeah.
believe that the world is narcissistic. And
Yes.
people are just running through, I call it the system. They're just running through a narcissistic system,
Mhm.
and energy is continuing to be siphoned until you realize that's what's happening. And so people like us that are awake, we can help guide people to out of narcissism, because narcissism isn't just about one person. I see things in energy collectives. It's a
Mhm.
collective. It's a
Mhm.
frequency that people are choosing to be entangled in. So once you stop being entangled in it, well, you're taking your power back. And that's what you decided to do in speaking and helping others speak through your voice. And I just have to
Yes.
ask you, Eden, in human
Yeah.
design, what is your type?
Oh, what do you mean?
Do you know?
No.
Okay, we got to figure out your human
Oh
design.
my gosh.
You got
Let's
to
do
go
it.
look that up.
Okay. Human design.
Yeah, I'm interested to know. But for the
Okay.
listeners, human design, that can really help you to understand more about your soul blueprint as well,
Okay.
and what you really have incarnated into this experience to learn more about. And I'd be interested to know if your throat chakra is defined, because if it is, or mine's not defined. So I do have to be very careful on who I'm around because I'll get drained very easily. Or
Oh
actually,
my
no, wait, I
gosh.
take that back. What am I talking about? My throat chakra, third eye, and crown chakra are the only chakras that are defined. So I'm very much up here and all about voice and connection and downloads. And so I'd be really interested to see if yours are defined as well. It's actually not quite common to have a defined crown chakra.
I would imagine. So much of my life has been learning to use this. Being
Yeah.
down south, I had a very, you're taught when you're especially a female, you don't get angry. So I grew up in a household that only got angry at tax time. So I didn't know, like, anger to me was, oh, you don't do that. So much of my shadow work in the beginning was I had all these feminine problems in my gut because of that. So it was releasing all of that and learning how to use my voice and learning that the anger that I call it her, that she was not a bad person, that she is actually the strength and the passion within me. So it took me probably, oh gosh, three to 4 years of really hard work to start gaining that back and to start loving her. And now I am just so thankful for that part of me and the strength, because she, especially going through COVID and not wearing masks, and I was at January 6th as well, and so many of my family going, why aren't you vaccinated? Why aren't you this? Why don't you do that? And also being, what we are, these in these fields that people look at like you're working with the devil, like being criticized for that for so long anyway. Just knowing, especially where I am today, I'm a strong ass woman. Like,
Yes, you.
well, thank you, but it's just that no one will tell me who I am. No one will define who I am anymore. I know me, and I know that I'm also growing. But yeah, that narcissism. So that was one of the reasons when my marriage was that, and it was a karmic relationship. So getting out of that, especially at COVID, and then it was 5 years of me. I dated one person, of being by myself and learning self-love and getting out of any of the narcissistic patterns. So as you know, Peter just came in while you and I were getting ready to
Right.
record. So in this divine relationship, it's been 6 months to this point, and it is unlike anything I've ever experienced. It is from the heart. It is divine. It is, again, when we talk about how worthwhile it is to go through the shadow work to figure out who you are, like right now, I'm reaping the benefits more than I ever have before in my life. So part of me looks at everyone who's watching or listening and just go, it pays off in spades to do this, to figure out your voice and your heart. And God is just waiting for you to rediscover you. Like it's always been in there. You just have to, and it's been clogged with all this stuff, and it's time to just release it. And especially right now, the energy is just supporting you with all of it. It can happen so fast. And the period of time that it took for me, it didn't have to take that long for you either. It's
Right.
awesome. Mm.
Exactly. It's all, it is amazing. And you're very strong and amazing. And I absolutely
Oh,
love knowing you. Um,
thanks.
yeah, it's crazy stuff. And when you really know yourself, I had
Yeah.
someone the other day tell me that tried to tell me about my personality, and I stopped them. It's like, you don't know me. Don't try to be my spiritual teacher when I didn't ask you to be my spiritual teacher
Oh,
of someone that's just started waking up. And we see
wow.
that. We see that where people use spiritual narcissism when they start waking up. And it's not a judgment by any
Yeah.
means. It's just that chill out. You got to do your shadow work first. I know you had
Mhm.
some awakening experiences, but we got to chill out a little bit here. And yeah, it's an interesting place to be when you really know yourself and that no one can shake that. And I
Mhm.
often think of Christ. And Christ consciousness to me
Yeah.
is not religious. It's what we all are, as we are these infinite creators made from source, God. And so we're just living through a consciousness. It's a consciousness. It's not an actual being. Of course, Jesus walked the earth, and I love that story, but it's all in metaphors. Jesus was talking about be who you are. Don't listen
Mhm.
to exterior validation or sources. Follow your intuitive guidance, your internal GPS. Don't listen to anybody else. Jesus wasn't saying follow me. Jesus was saying follow you. It's
Yes.
interesting, but yeah.
Yeah. And the mentors that I use and how I describe myself too is I'm a facilitator. I'm not someone in to come in and go, you are this or you are that. Like I'm feeling this, yet whatever I talk about, you take it and you discern it and you figure it out for yourself. I will help guide you and give you words. And there are definite feelings that I feel about you and definite clues that come in. Yet this is for you. It's
Mhm.
not for me to tell you who you are. It's for me to help guide you so you can figure out who you are. I've had many women, let's go into this, whose husbands, mostly women, whose
Mhm.
husbands come to me and I'm the reason, say they got a divorce or something. I'm the reason that
Mhm.
happened. And a lot of women also get angry going, "No, I made the decision. She helped me with that.
Mhm.
Yet I did this, not her." So that takes real strength to, and also for me not to be the ego person going, yeah, I did that. And I
Right.
help with that. But yeah. And I don't know about you, Lindsay, but that was also when I first started doing this, I was a little too in it. And really that humbleness and the heart of it, knowing that your people that come to you don't really need you, that they do, they don't. I mean, it's just and
Right.
I also say this to anyone that you go to, that your person that you go to is humble, that they are, that
Mhm.
they're human, that they are, not some ego person. That's just again, getting back to the narcissism and all
Yeah,
of
and
that.
it's all over. I was talking with another psychic medium a few weeks ago about
Yeah.
this, and we were talking about how it's seen in the spiritual community. And I've had many psychic mediums over the years that have tried to almost put the intimidation factor down because they see something in you that you haven't quite seen yet. And it's not this, if you're still working from that place, not you, Eden, but we're just saying
Yeah.
that if people are still working from that place, they might have great abilities that they have come into this world with. And I don't prefer the word gifts because I believe that we're all gifted. But it doesn't mean that they're spiritually aligned. And
Mm-mm.
so spiritual alignment, energetic alignment is very different than having abilities. Like people have abilities all the time. It doesn't mean that they've done the work. But yeah, you have to use your discernment. You have to be really careful. And also going back to what you said, I was really into this when I first started doing this.
Yeah.
I think what's changed for you, Eden, is that you're embodied with it now. It's not like you're
Yeah.
feeling like you have to do it. It's just who you are.
Exactly. I think that's, yeah, because there was just this push, like, yeah, I had group classes that I was just like, oh my God, I get so excited by those. But now it's so integrated into my life. So it isn't just, oh, I get to do this at my class. I am this all the time. How I am with you is how I am. Oh, I
Mm-hmm.
don't put on a mask. I don't put on a face. Um, I just be me.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what you came here for, is to just be you.
Hmm.
Yeah, be that beautiful
Mm,
energy that you are. I do want to ask you though,
yeah.
we didn't talk about this too much, but uh did you just tell us a little bit about your near-death experience? I had one as well, and I talk about it often. So I really am interested for you to share that of that experience that you had.
Yeah. All right, let me see how I can make it not too detailed. All right, so this was 2016. I was not awake to the matrix, let's call it, but I was awake. So I'd been doing this work for a long time. I, at that point, had right before it occurred, I had a studio here in Akron, Ohio, a meditation based spiritual studio, which there were none, which that was a huge, like there were lots of yoga studios, but highly unique. And I had a beautiful spot. I came from a spot that wasn't so beautiful and had just moved into this very corporate spot. And basically, one of my clients was letting me use it for 6 months for free. So,
Mhm.
I mean, and there was a lawyer. So I'd come from a place where there was a bait shop on the side of it. I mean, it just, and one guy who would repair electronics and he hoarded electronics. It was just odd to suddenly move to this place where there was a lawyer and a dental person right there. So it was so nice and so lovely. So in the midst of all that, within a week, I had started getting dizzy. And at the end of that week, I could not move out of bed. And my then husband, basically, we went to a doc in a box. Okay, so it started on a Monday. By Friday, he took me to a doc in a box. They gave me my migraine tonic and said, if you're not better the next day, you need to go to the emergency room. So on that Friday, I was to the point I did not want to get out of bed. So if he hadn't forced me essentially to go, I think I would have expired within a couple of days. That's how fast these lesions, which I'll talk about next, were growing. So went to the emergency room the next day, and turns out there was a lesion in my lung and three in my brain, which was
Oh,
so interesting because I do so much at that time, so much meditative work and thoughts in the brain. So it was like, and they thought it was stage 4 lung cancer. Turns out it wasn't that. Yet that's how grievous, I guess it was, because like 5% of people within 5 years die. So I was in my 40s at that point. My kids were 14 and 12 years old. And at that moment, your life changes because we weren't going home. I was sent straight to a hospital. So after, gosh, was it, suddenly I'm not remembering. I think it was a week, like they tried to do a biopsy of my lung, but my heart was too close. So the only thing that would be next was to do a craniotomy. Okay. And I had my wisdom teeth out. Like I don't typically do Western medicine. And because this was an emergency situation, there's me, this very spiritual person in Western medicine. Oh my God, that was extraordinary as well. So anyway, oh gosh. And now all we see that we can do is this brain surgery on you. And so there's a lesion that's we think we can get to. However, you must know we have no idea what's going to happen after the surgery. You may come out of it. You may be a vegetable. You may not be able to walk. We can't tell you what's going to happen. Everything cool? And we were at the point then where it was just like, okay, that really seems like the only thing. And I remember seeing angel's wings on a doctor's back and going, okay, well, let's do this thing. Not that everything's going to be fine. I don't know what it's going to look like, but this is the path. So I'd had that craniotomy, woke up in the ICU. I'm gonna look off for a second, around 2:00 that morning. And this was the only time from this point on that I would not have someone stay with me in the hospital. I was in the hospital for 2 months. So it'd been like 2 weeks. Woke up, and the ICU can be a very tumultuous place. And this was the only time it was for me. So my door was open, just waking up from brain surgery, being very groggy. And someone came in who wasn't having movement in their limbs, crying. It was literally heaven and hell right outside of my door. And I couldn't talk. I didn't have the capacity to find the nurse's button. So all I could do was sit there strapped to my bed, my hospital bed, and hear what was going on. And this also wasn't a near-death experience that, oh my God, you weren't eating right. You weren't, you have no connection to God. I had all that. I was living this beautiful life of health and had the studio and everything. So it was like I got this little tap on the shoulder and it go, hey, this is God here. But it came in a way that was so comprehensive. So like I was in this world with God. It's really hard to explain. And God basically goes, okay, what you're seeing in front of you is life here on earth. It is heaven and hell. So right now you have this option. You can either, and it wasn't like this happened and suddenly I was over my body. And, I think yours was similar. It was just, I'm right here in my bed. And suddenly there's this really loud voice that was encompassing, but said, and I felt the love, and there were no tunnels of light and people saying crossover, like none of that. Because probably if there were people saying crossover, I probably would have. So God said, you can leave right now. All you have to do is close your eyes. Just close them. It's that simple. And I also knew from the work that I did that my kids, I'd miss being there physically with my kids, but I knew I'd still be connected. I knew I'd be watching, and, so I wasn't fearful of death at all. And then God said, yet, if you want to stay, I can tell you, you are going to learn so much. Yet it wasn't, oh, you're going to learn this because you're going to be like this and you're going to do. I had no idea. Like a part of me is like, oh my, I can't believe that I decided to stay, because what if it could have been really hard, and not to say it wasn't hard. But if you decide to stay, you will learn so much. And that, I remember after the voice left or whatever, I just contemplated it. And I'm sure, like most people, a part of you just closing your eyes, because life on earth can be really hard. Right. I mean, there are some, and just closing your eyes and knowing you could be done with that, and knowing that the heaven and, which I knew was just friggin' beautiful, that I could just be there right then. But I was just like, you know what? You stay. If you're going to learn a lot, you like to learn, and that's what you're here for. So do it. So I decided at that point, and then a nurse came in a couple minutes later, asked if, through my jarbled speech, I can't believe I even got this out, to get my husband there. And he was like 2 hours late. And usually he's right on target. And when he came in, I was hungry, and I knew that was life that I wanted to live. Okay. And then from that moment, it was 2 years of significant healing from this, Lindsay. I had to learn to walk again, to talk again. So that wasn't easy, that I decided to stay, and everything's going to be hunky dory. At one point, so I had another craniotomy that was an emergency. There was one point I had to stay in a hospital bed for 7 days and not move, with brain fluid coming out of a vial from my brain. Like I could move my hands, and it's interesting, when you also have exercised your whole life, within a week period of time of not doing anything, it all goes away. It all goes away. So I'm a pretty thin person anyway. I was like 114 pounds, went to like 90, skin and bones, skin and bones. So to watch that also leave, yet to know, this was the beautiful part. Meditation was such a big part of my life, that I could just be with myself through all of it. That even if I couldn't walk, or even if I couldn't do that, I always had that capacity of quiet. And there were so many things to learn through this experience. Yet one of them was, my company is called Just Be, that I had to just be like I'd never had before, because I couldn't get up and cook. I couldn't be a mom. I couldn't, like when I got home, it was just sitting in a chair getting 3 IVs during the day. And again, not having all my capacities there, that all I really could do was just nothing. So I know how important that was for me to truly get that and to truly understand it. And then part of it too was letting go of my studio and realizing that I thought that was everything, but I was also spending so much time in the marketing and the people that worked with me versus doing the one-on-one work. So I eventually bought my practice back into my home, which is what I do now, so I can really focus on that versus paying electricity versus, getting a schedule together. And then the third piece of it, and there's way more than this, but to experience that. So when clients came into me with traumas, I could look at them and go, yep, I've been there. What? You have? Yes. Well, yeah, I understand you. And if I can do what I did, you can do it. So having that experience and that connection with God that was the same but different, and knowing that energy is there with me through thick and thin. So that even consecrated my belief and my faith even more than it was, and realizing that parts of it, still that ego, that having a studio and selling products, and that just made me, more viable. No, it doesn't. It doesn't make me viable at all, or a better person, or more that I know what I'm doing. So it was such a challenging, beautiful lesson. And my mom will say, which is really interesting. So there was one week that I did get depressed because I was just hurting, and oh my God, the medications. Now I know truly the side effects of stuff. So there was one week that I got kind of down in the dumps, but throughout the whole rest of it, I was good. And my mom still comments, she's like, how are you so good with everything? I'm like, Mom, what do I do for a living? What do I practice? Yeah. So it also, that I could do that and be that person through this crazy experience, that I was that. And that was pivotal as well. It seems like I was going to mention something else within that, but I forgot. Maybe it'll come up again. So I tell people that I would go through that again to learn what I learned, even though if I had to, I'd be like, and I tell God, and I have this conversation right now, that I no longer need to be hit over the head that dramatically to get something, that that we're good for right now, that I, am open to change. I'm open. I'm very flexible. Yet it was an amazing, amazing experience.
Well, thank you, Eden, for sharing that.
Oh, you're welcome.
It's really powerful for what you said about being hit over the head, because I think that people feel that way, that they're being victimized, or that why is this happening to me? when they are waking up. But it's you get to a place where you're accepting and that you're open to receiving whatever it is that you're here for. And you chose to come into this existence to be able to share more with people about the Christ consciousness and what they truly are. And not everyone's here to wake up. We know that, right?
Right. Yeah.
But you've got a lot of people that need your message. And that's why
Oh,
Spirit keeps saying, you got to keep this podcast going. You got to keep it going. We got to keep opening people up to their power. And so, yeah. And it's interesting too, because the brain relates to the kidney energy in Chinese medicine. And the kidney energy is all about fear. So there was absolutely a lot of fear there, even though you were
yeah.
very involved in the spiritual work and you were doing meditation and you were probably halfway there, but we needed the other half to come
To
through to
boost.
get you to that place.
Yeah.
And also, the lungs are the energy of grief. And so you probably were carrying some grief, and that could have been some of the stuff from your situation, your marriage that you were in at the time. There was probably a lot of grief there. So you needed to be moved, and your body's always the messenger from the soul. And so it
Okay.
was
And
getting
I love your perspective too. And it's really interesting, Lindsay, the lung piece of it, I never felt, I never connected to that ever. The brain stuff, yes, indeed. But yeah, the lung, it just came and went. I don't even know if there's scar tissue or anything. Didn't, my breathing was never impacted. And plus, with the lung cancer diagnosis, I cannot tell you how many people, because it's mostly smoking. I think like 90 to 95% of people who get lung cancers because of smoking. Don't quote me on that statistic, but I know it's really high up. So many people, have you smoked? Have you? No, 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 no. So yeah, the lung piece of it, the grief part, that makes complete sense. And especially, it turns out it was a virus that I breathed it in. And I know I would have gotten something regardless of what it was. So I breathed it in, went to the lung, and went through the brain blood barrier and went into my brain. So I think
Mhm.
this, they did a scientific study on me. This doesn't typically happen. I don't know if I was the only person in the US, maybe one person in Europe this had happened to. Yet it's spiritual. So I also don't look at, oh, I breathed this in, then that's what caused this. No, it maybe it would have been something. If it was
Right.
that or not, it would have been something. Um, so yeah, so there you go. Thank you so much for letting me share that again. I think that's it.
Yes.
I love telling that story. I do love it because every time I get to tell it, it's like I get to relive it on a different, at a consciousness where I am now. So I see
Mhm.
it differently each time. It's wonderful. Thank you.
It's very beautiful, and it's a very awakened place to be when we can say that our experiences like that are beautiful.
Yeah.
Um, because they are. It brings us back to who we truly are and what we were born into this world before all the conditioning, and realizing that we are these infinite beings. And when God came to you and tapped you on the shoulder and said, "Hey, you can choose to stay or you can leave. All you got to do is close your
Yeah.
eyes." That's a
Nice.
powerful moment to decide that I'm gonna have this human experience that I signed up for, and I'm gonna actually live through who I am versus who I think I should be. So that's really powerful stuff.
Yeah. Thank you. And we
Yeah.
get to meet you and we get to talk
I
about this stuff. It's
I
so fun.
I know. Two near death experience people to another, and it is unique because people often hear my story too, and they think of that you die and you come back.
Yeah.
And mine wasn't like that either. It was an out of body
Mhm.
experience, but I also was being communicated to, just like you were, but different. I didn't
Yeah.
have it, it was through gunpoint, robbed at gunpoint, but very interesting experience as well. Well, Eden, I know that everybody's going to want to connect with you because you're so amazing. So tell us how people can connect with you. How's the best way to reach out?
Okay, so yeah, my website is edenjustbe.com and that has all my info on there. My podcast is on there as well. And you and I were going to talk about whoever, we're going to give away one piece of my merchandise today. So I have hats, t-shirts that are all about the Great Awakening. So I think, Lindsay, you're going to coordinate that. So whoever gets that, you can, they're also on my website as well. You can look, I think there, I don't know how exactly how many designs, but like 30 something designs. I think they're fun because I designed them all myself, and I had my one friend help me with those. So I shouldn't say all myself, but my daughter drew some of the pictures, and yeah, it's really fun. It's really fun. That was a fun thing to do to create that.
I love that. Well, I'm going to have to get one too. And yes, absolutely. We're going to give a t-shirt away. So anyone listening to this episode, be the first person to comment on the episode and we'll make sure that Eden gets you out a t-shirt. And yeah, you definitely need that. You guys got to order t-shirts from her.
T-shirts, hats, tank tops.
Everything.
And I love it. It's like wearing your truth on
Right?
you don't even have to use your voice to say it. It's just, yeah. Oh, so awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. So, well, Eden, what last words? I like
Yeah.
to open it up at the very end. Just give us some little intuitive nuggets or information about how to be inspired in this time that we're living in. Tell us, give us some end of episode inspiration.
Okay, I'm going to go back a little bit to what I talked about, that we are the beautiful thing about this great awakening is that the energies are every day they just become greater, and God and ascended beings and everything, they are just here. They are just desiring us to expand, desiring us to come back home, which home is it's always been within us all the time. So I guess my encouragement is, because I recently, the past couple of weeks, really had some people that have not in a way been strong enough to move forward, like two people specifically. And I have told them, you can do it, yet it's your choice to do that. And part of me goes, if you are in the dumps, if you are having a really challenging time, move forward. Figure out more, because the blessings that will come your way and the discoveries that will come your way, if you've been, if you're downtrodden, because there's a lot right now that also doesn't want you to figure out the beauty within yourself, that wants you to feel you're too fat, you're ugly, you're depressed, pornography and social media and, all the hate and the division that's going on in the world. Actually, that isn't true if you don't buy into it. So it is a lovely time to be alive. It is a precious time to be alive, and make the best of it.
Yeah.
It's just right there at your fingertips, even though you might have to, look at some crap, but you'll find out that the crap is not like my worst fears about myself. When I first started, I realized that they were not true. They were all these things that I thought, all these fears that I had. And then looking at the truth of them all, I'm like, why were you scared of that? Because someone told you to be scared of it, or that society said that you're not supposed to be this way. So when you unlock those doors and unlock the shackles and the truth that's within you, it is just so damn good. So there's a part of me going, just do it. Take the leap of faith. Be more, do more. You will be supported. And if you're not supported, find people that will support you. Ooh, I roll my eyes on that one. Okay.
I know. No, I know. I get it. We're on the same page with that. Yeah. Well, that's absolutely beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that. And it was absolutely incredible to have you on the show today. You're just an amazing person, human and energetic being. And thank you so much for sharing your stories and all of your intuitive messages and everything that you are, Eden. And definitely make sure to check out her podcast, because she's doing some really great things on there. I was on there and you guys don't want to miss it. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Lindsay. I know you and I will keep in touch. We are not done.
We are not done. All right. Until next time.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, Consciously Awakened fam. If your neurons are buzzing and your soul's doing a touchdown dance, show us some love. Tap follow and subscribe. Drop a 5-star glow up review. Your support means the world to us, and for us to continue bringing you this incredible awakened content, we need your support. Share this episode with your favorite truth-seeking bestie and screenshot it for your stories. Let's spread that spark. And are you craving more cheat codes? Grab my self-mastery ebook, totally free, in the show notes. It's your pocket guide to clear intuition, mastering your emotions and life clearer boundaries, and big aligned moves. All right, Mind Lab alchemists, you know the drill. See you in the next episode.